Hello, one and all. You are connected to Street News Now, SNN, Six Guys and You. You connected to us every Thursday evening, starting on the East Coast, that's 9 p.m., and then 8 p.m. Central Time, and 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Always wanting you to be well wherever you are. You can connect with us through YouTube when you type in SNN, Street News Now. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Also, catch us on Facebook Live, Twitter, and Twitch. Our fearless leader, Lee Michaels, is always on assignment. He's always driving somewhere, which I don't blame him. He'll go on and get your loot and get your bag. So we'll hold it down for him because we are the MICs, the masters of intellectual chaos. As I bring forth, for example, Dr. Ron Ford. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine, my brother. Glad to be in the house.
Nice.
Yep. Doing my thing with my brothers on another Thursday night.
You ever gone to your go-to line where you say all the time when you wake up every morning?
Hey, man, I'm so glad to be alive, brother. Still
Okay,
glad to be here.
Yeah, you
Yes,
gotta say
sir.
that.
Yes,
That's
sir,
the
man.
mantra,
Look, that's
right?
a tagline.
That's the mantra,
Still,
right?
and the reason why I say that, because some people are alive and don't know it.
Oh, see, now you're gonna try to get knee deep, like the Walking Dead.
Yeah, brother. Look, they walking the walking dead, as you would say, the walking dead. Yep.
Absolutely.
They don't know it. They don't know it, brother. They some of them just vegetables, and some of them ain't even walking around.
Yeah, you got that right.
They just laying there on life support.
Yeah, and they have a life. Yeah, that happens.
Exactly. So I always give all praises where praises is due. Still glad to be here. Yep.
That's right. Assalamu alaikum and salami and bacon. I ain't mad at you.
And you salami and bacon, man.
That's right.
That they don't go together, right?
No, I don't care. It sounds good. So,
Because the ones that do assalamu alaikum, they don't do bacon.
Oh, of course not. Right. Yes, we know that. We know that. The person also knows, and I like the fact this next brother that's a part of our crew, he comes in different forms. He comes in different guises, different names. So please welcome forth Seven.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much.
How you doing, Seven?
Thank you. A good friend of mine had a friend named Seven, and he was a hairdresser. Mm-hmm. And I was always envious of that name because, I was born 7/17/57. My youngest son was born 7/27/87. And so, 7 is my number. And I felt like that 7 belonged to me. So I just thought I'd try it on and, see how it fit, a little 7, see what it is. Because I just thought it was something about it. As 7, I could be 7,
right.
But I don't want to steal, his handle, but
right.
I don't travel in his circles anyway. So, I can be 7 in my circle and he could be 7 in his circle. And, the two will not mix by no stretch.
No. What you saying, bro? It's enough 7 to go around?
I'm not sure. Let me get back with you on that. I told you I'm not trying to put his 7 in my. I'm not trying to be prideful and put his 7 in myself.
Okay. I got you. So you just saying it's enough 7 to go around?
Yeah. 7, love it. Jed said he loved it. Powerful number. 7's powerful.
Yep.
Always good stuff. Always good stuff. Also to our others, brothers in broadcasting, Buck Weezy will be on the way. We should hear from possibly Professor Reggie Miles. We'll see as the evening goes along. Well, let's not waste any time. Let's delve into it. Explosive testimony at the unexpected hearing.
But before you get started,
oh man,
I'm
my
sorry.
wisdom was cut off, man. I was just getting ready to get on the road.
No. I'm gonna give you an opportunity to get deep into it. Mm-hmm. But I just wanted to start us off on a joyous occasion in a moment. So could you bring up the screen for a second so I can share with the world, this accomplishment that was displayed upon me, on this week. And, I'm sure most people have heard of the National Black Broadcasters Hall of Fame Museum. And they allowed me to sneak in through the back door. So I'm in now. Our brother in broadcasting, Reggie, is also a member of this distinguished, alumni association. And possibly down the road, Chris may want to be a part of it. And this is coming from the Chicago, Indiana chapter. Now Mike, you would probably have to go to the Dallas chapter. You have to go down there and get in.
I think. Well, let me. And I don't know this. I believe I'm already in the St. Louis chapter. I
Okay,
believe,
cool.
but I'm not
That's
sure.
awesome.
I'll have to talk to the chairman of Marinus, Bernie Hayes, and see exactly. I think I'm already in.
Yeah, and I'm definitely campaigning for Lee to get in, because Lee founded so many people that are in the Chicago chapter already. So they're looking to entertain him to coming on board as well. But I think we have such a distinguished panel that sit in this assembly, that it's only something that we all are worthy to have in our resume, to be able to say, and being broadcasters and professionals as long as we have been, and I think it's just something that if you're not familiar with it, you need to investigate it, because we get a lot of people that follow us from all over the place, so I'm sure there's a chapter somewhere in your area where you can reach out and be a part of this prestigious institution. Now it might not be, as prestigious as getting your star on the Walk of Fame. I'm poking fun at all them people that got stars on the Walk of Fame now. But there's a place for us. Ain't that a song? Yeah. There's a place for us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's an honor. I mean, the game has changed tremendously. And it would be really sad not to honor those who came along in the original stages of, what radio was all about, and the commitments that were made, after consolidation, the priority of having, like local radio guys or gals on the air kind of diminished. And not because they thought anything bad about the personalities. It was cost effective. It was things that they were doing with consolidation that just didn't jive with worrying about, the local talent anymore. Because if you own 850 radio stations or 425 radio stations, for a corporate side, that's the big picture. How do we make money across the board? Whereas when we were coming into the business, there were individual owners, and that owner those owners prided themselves in having the best local talent. Everybody knew who, Ron was, or who Reggie was, or who Chris was in that particular market, and people championed it. And so this is basically coming right on time, because we don't want to forget about how it got started and who were the haymakers that helped this progress, that we would one day have a National Black Radio Hall of Fame.
Thank you for allowing me to share this with you, family, because y'all my family, you know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to share this accolades with y'all.
Accolade.
Thank you, sir. You can take it down. Yeah.
Is that like having an Escalade?
No.
Oh, okay. The Escalade and accolade, two different things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Chris, for allowing to share.
Well, first of all, congratulations to you, Ron, and congrats to Reggie on the issue. It reminds me of, I remember reading an interview with about Denzel Washington, and he was saying outside of getting Emmys and Oscars, he was getting an award from Essence, the Essence Awards. And there's something about getting an award from your own people, that makes it a little bit special. So it reminds me of that. So yes, we have to be pro our own, because we have to, we have to acknowledge the people who are in the industry, or the people who came before us, to allow people like ourselves to be in the industry. I mean, when you're a pioneer, I mean, that takes a lot of responsibility, because the pioneers is not to be pioneers. They just set out to be in the business and make a way for themselves, sometimes not knowing that people were watching behind them and seeing how they operated and see how they comport themselves, which inspired a lot of us in radio to follow our dreams, because somebody was doing it before us and doing it magnificently.
Yeah, so, and that's when you start talking about the community.
Yes.
Because these people were known in their community.
That's right.
when you're isolated with your message, where only your people can put your message out there, then what else? Why wouldn't you salute something like this?
Yeah. Thank you, Jed. Appreciate that.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So, all right. What they say? Take two. Go, Chris.
Oh, okay. Jesus. So you give a man the award, all of a sudden he wants to do everything. He wants to write, he wants to direct, he wants to do
No. I look. I'm apologizing for cutting you off before you got started. That's the way I'm really doing. I'm apologizing.
Okay.
Chris, I look at it this way. King Kong ain't got nothing on Dr. Ron.
Nothing. Got nothing.
Hey, bro.
Oh, hell.
Hey, what it is what it is.
Absolutely.
Got that right.
Yeah.
So again, explosive testimony at the unexpected hearing for the January 6th committee on Tuesday brought into sharper focus the actions from former President Donald Trump took on the day of the violent Capitol attack. Cassidy Hutchinson, who served as an aide to former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, testified that Trump had wanted the ellipse to be fully packed with supporters for his speech on January 6th, which was hampered by some of them watching from a distance in order to avoid going through metal detectors and surrendering their weapons. So for anyone I know, the Ellipse is a park there in Washington, D.C., where people were gathering up first before they went to the Capitol. I watched a good hour and a half of it, and I caught the recaps later on the news. I do believe that Cassidy Hutchinson did make a dent in all the arguments on the sides of people who supported Trump, because they were left speechless, and they pretty much were denouncing immediately of everything she said. But it's the fact that the chess move has already been played. So now, as the Republicans go forward, or the Trump supporters go forward, where do you go from here? I think that what she said did have some validity to it because of his anger, because of him not managing his anger, going back to former President Trump. They said it was a bombshell testimony. I do agree with that. Some of the notes that have been mentioned, Secret Service also said on January 6th to the committee that agents are willing to testify and dispute the SUV incident. Now, this is when Hutchinson had said that President Trump grabbed the steering wheel as one of the drivers was about to let him know you cannot and will not go to the Capitol. So he lunged down and grabbed the steering wheel while they were driving. And it's moments like this where you're doing wrong or part of doing something wrong, and then you want to find a way to get out. So, for example, Mike Meadows, Rudy Giuliani saw pardons related to January 6th. So if you know you're in the most dirt, and you're supporting pretty much not only a village idiot, a national, international idiot, all of a sudden you want to break away from this idiot and say, look, I don't want anything to do with him, but you knew what you were doing in real time. So the committee is doing, I think, a very good job of chopping away and getting the right witnesses to come forward of the so-called Iron Curtain that was surrounded by Donald Trump. Let's go to Dr. Ron. Dr. Ron, how do you see it?
Well, I totally agree with you. They have been very surgical with bringing up forward people that with information that helps, point the finger in the right direction. I think Donald Trump, he's frightened right now. And the reason why I say he's frightened right now, because he has criticized and tried to, tamper with witnesses. He has, jumped out there and said that, why don't they have anybody on the committee that can speak up for me? Because he issued an order for nobody to participate. And then he also issued an order from nobody from my chief of my inner circle, my chief of staff, all of them, not to participate and give testimony at all. So when the young lady came forward, immediately, one of the things that he said was, I don't even know who she is, which is not unusual, for him to say. Now she had been in and out of his office and had been working with the inner circle in Washington for quite a while. So, young lady, what, 25, I think she is?
Well, 25, 26.
Yeah, 25 years old. She had went in there, and she was not adversarial. She was on his team. She was for him. And then she began to see the unraveling of his mental fiber. Now we've already seen it, all of us have known that his mental fiber has already had issues, but she began to see up close and personal some of the things that he was doing and was alarmed. She was afraid. She said in the hearing, "I am afraid," and she said that, "I am afraid for what I'm seeing and what's going on here." And I think one of the highlights of this latest hearing was the fact that when he told the audience that he wanted to go down to the Capitol, he genuinely wanted to go down to the Capitol. But the Secret Service would not allow him to go down to the Capitol. And one of the reasons that they objected to taking him to the Capitol to participate in what was going on, because they couldn't protect him. They couldn't arrange a secure path. They couldn't do their job effectively. And that stopped him from being one of the ringleaders of, let's lynch, Mike Pence.
Hank Mike
Pence. Let's get Nancy Pelosi. He would have been one of the main ones on the front line leading the charge. Now, of course, by purely their job description, the Secret Service would have had to been around him to protect him. So how would that have looked? I'm just going to put a what if out here. Now, he's the president. He's leading the charge, the attack on the Capitol. And now the Capitol Police are there trying to stop protesters from getting in. And now the Secret Service and the president is in the crowd.
To make it worse.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why the Secret Service, they were smart enough to understand that he had become the adversary in the particular situation. So all he was going to do was incite more problems.
Even more. Right.
Right. So they had come to the conclusion, don't take him down there, because he ain't going to try to calm anybody down. Nope. He's going to say, turn this mother out, in the words of MC Hammer.
MC Hammer, right.
Yeah, he was going to add more fuel to the fire.
He was going to add, this is one of the times we can use adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
That's what was going to happen.
Yeah. And to speak to what Chris was saying earlier about he wanted the crowd to get bigger. And they had radio communications that they played at the hearing from the Secret Service and all of the police going back and forth. They have guns. They're armed. They got knives. They got weapons. They're in the crowd. And he was like, I don't care. They're not here to hurt me. Now, that led directly as an indictment in my mind that he wanted harm to come to people that were in the White House, directly by his command. Like we have said many times before, one of you guys' statements has been, the dog whistle had been blown, and they were responding to what they were hearing. They should have locked his ass up on the January 6th. Yeah, that looks like our fearless leader there, don't
Yeah,
it?
I think so.
Yeah,
It
that looked
has
like
its
our fearless.
footprint all over it.
Yeah, but the bottom line is information is slowly coming out and slowly eliminating his wiggle room, because straight out of the Republican playbook, they are trying to point people away from this conversation into other things that they feel like are error, in the government today. Gas prices, food prices, anything that points to other than what Donald Trump was directly responsible for. Yep.
To me, one of the things, and I'm going to use this word not to support Donald Trump, but just to make a point. It was genius at what he did in referencing to intimidate his own people, because you had a choice in this situation. Either you with me or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So when they chose the side to be tippy-toeing, Mr. President, we need to think about this. He wasn't down with that. When you are accustomed to getting what you want, when you want it, at whatever expense it takes to get it, that's the expectation.
Mm-hmm.
This is a gross waste of time as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I think the testimony is good, but everybody knows from the moment that he put Lindsey Graham's mobile phone number out there when they were campaigning, up to other foolishness that he had pulled off based on threatening people.
Right.
He knew who was soft and who was strong. He knew who to play with and who not to play with. And everyone that he played with, they had already been playing in the sandbox together. So they look straight crazy when they're not supporting him, when you have supported him in the sandbox. And that's where this whole fiasco is coming into play, because, all the way from the time that he ran for office till he won and took the oath, all these people were in on it. This didn't start with Donald Trump on January 6th. They all knew, but they thought he was playing. They thought he was kidding around. Somebody said, you know what? If Chris don't pull me full screen, I'm gonna whoop his ass. Hey, and we go whoop his ass, Ron. See what I'm saying? Look at Chris. Chris is like, don't even play with that. But you see what I'm saying? It's
Right.
When you do that and you keep playing with it, then all you're doing is making it worse. That's when you should have been saying, I'm not going along with it. But you didn't do that. Giuliani, all of those people played with him in the sandbox. If this happened, we're going to do this. Oh, yeah, Mr. President, you can do this, and I'll support you 150%. Why was you lying to this guy? You souped him up.
Yeah.
And anybody that wasn't going along with it, starting with Omarosa, he showed him the door.
Right. You're fired.
And she left kicking and screaming.
Right.
Okay? Because once again, she thought he was playing.
Mm-hmm.
He was dead ass serious.
Yep.
And that's the one thing that, for some reason, all his political buddies and the people who came off supporting him and was proud to be a part of his presidential team found out that he really was batshit crazy.
Yep. Not was,
he nothing to lose.
And is still currently.
And it still is. I mean, but it comes with the territory. It comes with being a millionaire since you were 5 years old. It comes to your parents giving you whatever you want. It comes with his lifestyle. Here's a guy flying around in a 747 jet the same size as Air Force One, and he just the CEO of his own company. Do you think he plays when it comes down to law and order in business? I don't know how they were sleeping on that. He's always been about that business. You do what I say do, or it's gonna be problems. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't think that this happened, but I wouldn't be surprised if Donald Trump hasn't had someone hurt or killed.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise if that came out. I wouldn't be sitting here going, "Oh my God, I can't believe that happened."
Right.
This guy, I was in New York City when he was starting getting Trump Tower, trying to tell the leaders in New York in reference to, Manhattan's getting old. Let's build it up. Let's get a reason to get people here. Times Square was seedy. Times Square was a hot mess. Peep show places, prostitutes, pimps out on the street corners. And until Disney came in and bought all that property, that place was, you didn't want to be down there when the sun went down. It looked nice in the daytime, all the neon lights and everything's flashing. And, they tell you about, Broadway shows. You didn't want to be down there. That place looked crazy.
Nope.
And he was the one that was pretty much telling them, hey, you let New York die. Let's get people coming back to New York. Give me the license so I can put a tower. He put a tower right in front of what's the park up there?
Central Park.
Central Park.
Mm-hmm.
Out there when people get on the horse and buggies and ride, and you walk through the park.
Mm-hmm. No, there was a Central Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was the girl attacked? Was that Central Park in New York? By the 7?
One? By the who?
By the 7 guys, the black guys that they got charged with attacking the white girl in the park in New York.
That one I don't remember. Yeah.
The big case.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah.
Okay, Google.
I know they just recently let those guys out.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
Where? Yeah,
I want to say, yeah, I think it was in Central Park.
Yeah, they just
let
those guys out. Yeah, they just let them out. Yeah. Last year, year before.
Did they call them like the Central Park 7 or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Yeah.
So once again, that's why he was flipping about that situation. He was dead ass serious about the business of getting New York back in place not because he cared about the citizens of New York City. It was because business brings money. Or as Professor says, Professor Miles, Monet, the French girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was
You're trying to get the French girl to come to town.
Central Park 5.
Central Park 5, yeah.
Central Park 5, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, blame it on the alcohol.
No, you just got 7 on the brain today. That's all.
I sure do. That's what it was. I couldn't get away with it. You wouldn't even let me get away with it. You're right.
I wasn't gonna let you. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Central Park. Thank you, Lee. Go deliver some flowers to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Earlier today on CNN, they had, remember the lawyer that Donald Trump threw under the bus, that was handling the one that was handling his case with the prostitute.
Oh, the first one, yeah. The guy, he took his money to pay her off.
Right. Yeah. So he was being interviewed today, and he was talking about one of the ground rules that when he was grooming Donald was that make sure your hand is not on anything, that they can't trace anything that was going on directly back to you. So you have different layers of people that you can blame, but not directly get blamed yourself. What's up, Buck Wheezy?
Gentlemen's, how y'all is?
We doing
That's
fine.
how we say it down south.
That's what y'all said.
I don't know. What did I just say?
I don't know. That's what I said. That's why we asked you to repeat it.
How y'all on them ill?
Oh, how y'all them is? Yeah, that's what they say. Mm-hmm.
About this, Mike, you've been down south long enough. You should know that.
You
bro.
said it so quick, we didn't hear it. That's what it was. Yeah.
I was like, you need to do better than that, bro. You need to get up on your southern slang.
I'm six. You know what? I'll be 65 next month, and I'm already claiming it. And it's an excuse for everything. I don't have to remember your name. I don't owe you shit. I don't have to do nothing for you. I can change the list goes on. You know, it's a great, man. You know, when you get ready to become 65, you just get away with murder.
Yeah, and you get to be brutally honest to people and not
brutally honest
anything back.
Brutally honest.
Boy, I wish we
don't care what anybody says.
And don't care. Like, you know, I could say something like, if all of us could be here at 7, why didn't you have your ass here, Buck? See, I could do stuff like that, but I would never do that to you. I would never.
Yeah. Are you asking me why? Not asking,
no,
but asking me why I was late.
Stop it.
Because I can tell you.
He really don't care. You know?
I was talking with my mama.
Oh,
see, we knew it was gonna be that. See, you just had to come in.
Yeah, no, but see, you know,
don't even try it with a straight face. Don't even try.
93 years old.
Yeah.
His
Now
mama's an excuse for everything. You know that, right?
Yeah, we're supposed to feel bad. That's why he couldn't wait to get it out.
Yeah, look, your mom's an excuse for everything. You know, we know that. That's a patented excuse.
Hey,
you know, we really know you was down there at the liquor store picking up your latest bottle of Jack.
Hey, I bought this 2 days ago, bro. It's almost gone now.
Yeah, 2 days.
Almost
2
gone.
days.
This is not Jack.
How they say it down south. 2 days ago. 2 days ago.
This is Bumbu.
Yeah.
You ever had Bumbu rum?
I've never had it. I've seen it in the house. Is that good?
Delicious. It's the best rum you'll ever have.
Shut up and call me Ron.
Frank Ski turned me on to it, and he knows alcohol.
Oh, he knows alcohol. He should have been.
He's the one to turn me on to it. He used to bring alcohol to the studio all the time over at V103.
Yeah, but he can. You know what? He can handle his. I that's one thing about him. I've never seen him drunk or out of control.
Me either. High tolerance.
Dude.
Very.
And he carries wine with him and that kind of stuff everywhere. And I've never seen him out of control. Never.
Yeah.
Never slurring his words or anything like that.
Yeah,
his wine tasting was this weekend.
I like what Lee just said. Wait till you get 70. About not giving a damn.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Whoa,
I'm picking it up at 65.
Yeah. So
don't let me interrupt what Ron was talking about. Go ahead, Ron. Whatever you were just saying. It was
no.
Great.
We were just commenting about a topic that we know you don't give a damn about. So
Donald Trump, my favorite subject.
Right. You know, and it's a recap of what we observed that Donald Trump was doing and trying to do to avoid being pressed and prosecuted during this entire hearing is got him hanging by, his genitalia.
Actually, I was listening while I was getting ready.
Oh, okay. So you know the
I knew exactly what you're talking about. I was just giving you a hard time.
All right, no problem. But the bottom line is, we all on here, I think, unanimously, agree that his genitalia need to be hanging, and executed in the public display of off with his head.
They're not going to do anything. This is going to be a hearing. It's going to pass.
Just like I said last week, ain't nothing gonna happen.
Ain't nothing going.
Well, I think what's gonna happen is, for sure, even if they don't get the main culprit, it's gonna be a whole lot of people around him that's gonna, get nailed to the cross. They're gonna take the hit for him big time, because they don't have immunity.
Now that would be interesting if other people around him end up going, to JALE.
Oh, look, Giuliani going, brother. He ain't got no protection.
No sympathy. Nobody has any sympathy for Giuliani.
Eastman going.
Why Giuliani look so crazy now? Have you noticed that, Chris? He's just like,
Look,
Yeah.
anybody that has a press conference and lets his kiwi drip from his head down to the size of his, skull, on the side of his skull. I mean, that's just, it was, look, if he didn't look crazy before that, that cemented it.
Mm.
Yeah. That was
It's
his
just-
hairdresser's fault, though.
Nah, I give it that too. Look, man, he's supposed to check before he go out in public, doctor. So no, I mean, I go a little bit of both in that situation, but it's just.
And that was America's mayor, too. Remember 9/11?
I know, right?
How
Exactly.
in control he was. Like, Giuliani, that's the mayor right there. Yeah.
Yep. At that time, for what he did for New York, it's cemented in history. I give him that. And everybody was saying he should run for the presidency because of his, how he took the stance and getting the city back up again after 9/11. I give him all that, but. This dude, look, he needs a monogram straitjacket. This dude, man, he's out of control.
What happened? What
Yeah.
happened?
Him
man?
and Eastman are going. They can plead the fifth all they want. It ain't gonna help them. Because the evidence speaks for itself.
I want to get your take on this, going back to the January 6th hearings. This is from Representative Liz Cheney, who's the vice chair of the House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, said the following. The Republican Party cannot be both loyal to Donald Trump and the Constitution. Buck Weezer, your take. I know how you feel about it, but just the fact that you make this statement going back to Liz Cheney saying that you can't have this alliance with him and the Constitution, going back to Trump and the Constitution is concerned.
Hey, it's hard to refute that one. It really is. And I think that a lot of you know what? I think a lot of Republicans at the end of the day are either going to just be standing there holding their dicks, like, and looking silly, or they're going to have to get out the game. At least that I hope that at the end of all this, that more Republicans will say bye-bye, because their party is just. I mean, I don't want to use the word corrupt, because maybe the Democrats are corrupt too. I don't know. But they just seem like they are just the party of the devil. Whether they are or not, the problem with people is that we all believe that we're right. If you ask a Republican, and I remember when Obama was in office, all my Republican friends always talked about how, pardon my language, I'm about to use a foul word, but this is what they used to say about Obama. Oh, Obama's such a pussy. I was like, that's not the Obama I know. But they thought that he didn't have strong enough, kahunas. And then when you talk more to them, they really believe that they're right. Their whole philosophy is, going back to the Reagan thing, you take care of the rich, it'll trickle down. It'll take care of the poor, which would be probably a viable philosophy or a solution, except there one thing it doesn't factor in, and that's greed. So
but they have the master key to greed. And as long as they have the master key,
what does that mean? What does that mean?
it means that they control it and they don't have to really answer for it. They don't have to answer for greed. It's part of the system. You just made a statement a
Capitalism.
second ago.
Because of
There you
capitalism.
go, capitalism.
I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah, that's all it is. It really, the Republican versus Democrat, Democrat versus Republican, that's a sideshow. That's a trick. That's pulling the quarter from behind your ear. Ta-da! That's all it is. It's just a trick. You cannot be a politician, successful politician in the United States of America unless you are part of some piece of the corruption, because it's a part of the political system. It's not that you may be corrupt or trying to be corrupt. It's the system.
What was that movie? The Distinguished Gentleman. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yes, Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
that was
the
one of my favorite movies. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the system. it's the same thing with Biden. Everybody, Biden, they need to get him out here. Anything that's happening, he's not in control over it. The opposition is not in control over it. Nobody's in control. It's already in play. It's already in play. However, they're going to deal with the Supreme Court justices, however, they're going to deal with global warming. Whatever is in the systematic pot is being stirred, and it don't matter who the hell is president. That's why, when you think about it, it keeps coming up. Why don't we have term limits on our senators and Congress?
Because they have to vote it in. They're not going to do it.
They're not going to do it.
They're not going to do anything that's not going to benefit them.
And there it is. Nobody, none of them. It doesn't make a difference. The sides, the donkey and the elephant are logos. That's all they are. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a logo.
Yeah, but you know what? They're still teams. You know what I mean? It's just like basketball.
Of course, they gotta entertain.
Right, they're the Warriors, and what was the other team they just played? Celtics.
Boston Celtics.
Well, yeah, Boston. But they have to play.
But I'm saying, yeah, they're diametrically opposed, but the reality is they're both still playing the same game.
That's right.
But did you guys talk about the Supreme Court ruling on how the CDC overstepped their bounds, and how what was the other one about the what the Supreme Court just did about saying that the EPA can't just
before they swore in our new first Black Supreme Court justice.
Right, and they say that the EPA can't try to shift us away from coal and go towards clean energy. They overstep their bounds. It's like, and you want Congress? They said Congress has to do it. Congress can't do anything. What is it? So that means that ain't nothing gonna get done.
Congress won't do anything.
Yeah, they're just it's like a stalemate. Can you imagine when is this stalemate thing gonna finally go away? It's like I don't remember it ever being this bad. Maybe you guys do. I don't know. Was there ever a time when things actually got done?
Well, first of all, when President Obama was in office, they did the exact same thing to him. They wouldn't let him pass anything. When they won the midterm, they took over Congress and they stopped everything. He couldn't even appoint a Supreme Justice. They wouldn't let him.
But he had both houses of Congress when he first started, and he
was able to
BS around.
No, he didn't. No, when he first came in, he was able to get what they coined as Obamacare through.
That's
so
right.
He was able to
and that was his big
get an agenda.
Energy went, yeah.
But going back to the question that Chris asked about Liz Cheney, I think she fired shots. When she did what she did, she is trying to inform and serve notice that she's
going to be president.
No, but we have to try and reel in the Republican Party because they have been lawless and out of control. Yeah. Trying to support, Donald Trump, which has led them down this path of stupidity, and they're trying to stand behind him. They wouldn't impeach him when he had a chance because everything that they have been doing has been doing along party lines. So she is a Republican, and she's standing up and saying that, look, this has got to stop. So somebody has to say these things. And by her being on that committee, seeing the evidence and interrogate or interviewing people that are coming forth, she has actually seen things that they haven't gone public with yet. So she is giving them, like, look, we got to stop this foolishness. We have to reorganize our party. And I agree that there's corruption on both sides, Republican and Democrats. But, when you look at Republicans nowadays, they are the people that have been traditionally going out of their way to support the wealthy in this country. And they use that terminology, Reaganism, which is a failed plan. It didn't work then, and it's not going to work now. You're constantly giving tax breaks, and I want to go back. Can I go back in time just a little bit, just to last year before last? Okay. The Republicans started raising hell about everything that the Democrats were trying to do. They were saying we need to give minimum wage, $15 an hour. You want to, let's see, the first 2 years he got, oh, okay, I missed it. First 2 years he got a lot done. After the midterm, it became more difficult for him because Republicans kept roadblocking, but he has several hundred bills that were passed the first 2 years. Okay.
Yeah, because he had both houses. Yeah.
There you go.
And then after that,
So-
he lost that, and it
Right.
became difficult.
So the economy, they were crying, well, the Democrats were crying, look, we need to get a decent wage, a livable wage, $15 an hour, as a federal minimum wage. And that was when everything wasn't $10 a gallon, like gas, milk, bread,
Right.
So they gave stimulus checks to try and help people survive during the pandemic. So then the Republicans started painting this picture of we'll never get people back to work as long as we keep giving them money. Like the little $2,000 that they were giving us is going to last a lifetime. They started complaining about the money that was coming from the federal government to the public at large. Now, granted, these are the same guys that just sent billions of dollars to Ukraine. Okay, but they have no way of getting a return on the dollar.
Oh.
But they were painting that picture when the pandemic began to loosen up and they thought they were going to be able to get people back to work. Then they started saying, well, see, we gave them too much money. They're not going to go back to work. Well, people were complaining that they're not going to go back to a $10 an hour job working for tips, trying to support themselves, paying for childcare and all the other things that needed to be taken care of out of their salary.
Hence the Great Resignation.
Okay, so now fast forward to current day. They still have not increased salaries. They still paying people $10 an hour plus tips. But now they have increased.
You know what's funny though?
Let me finish.
Okay.
And they have increased everything that we need to survive. They've increased the cost of gas, coffee, milk, bread to a place where not only do we want a $10 an hour plus chip job, but now we need 3 of them to try and support ourselves because of the way the economy has skyrocketed and they've increased our persecution. Okay. The rich have inflated everything. Now they're constantly making money. Okay. They're making money. But the poor people in this country that were suffering in the beginning are even suffering even more. Okay. So you cannot blame what's going on the Democrats. The Democrats are trying to come up with solutions to try and help this economy. They're talking about a gas tax vacation. They're talking about several things that would help make people's burden lighter right now with the way things are going. But the Republicans don't want to make our burden lighter because they feel like if they lighten our load, then we won't go out and work 4 jobs per family to try and keep food on the table for the kids, or to try and find milk, or to try and find bread, or to try to find any creature comfort that is needed for a family to survive. So and this was just during the pandemic. Now that we're at this point, they have accomplished what they wanted. They have forced people back into the work world at any cost. We can pay them anything we want to pay them now. and they get to keep the lion's share of the money that they make off of us in the labor force, which is what industry does. They pay you $10 an hour and they make 50 off of your labor. So those are just the facts of what's going on. Go ahead, Buck.
You can get fast food restaurant job for like $20 an hour now.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I was gonna say.
Okay.
Well, it reminds me, if you're a fan of Andy Griffith and the Andy Griffith Show, Andy Griffith did a movie back in the day called A Face in the Crowd, one of his rare dramatic performances. So he plays this, country bumpkin who's discovered by a radio producer and makes him this big radio star. He becomes this big megalomaniac, big-headed, off the chain, uncontrollable. He's doing radio, TV.
Get out of here,
I'm
Andy
telling
Griffith?
you, it is must watch. I'm telling you. So there's a scene in the movie where his manager is also his business partner, and the character's name he played was Lonesome Rhodes. So his manager went behind his back and got 51% of the company, which made him the majority owner. So Lonesome Rhodes, Andy Griffith was like, "I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue everything you got." He said, "You ain't going to sue a damn thing. You're in bed with me. Because if you go down, I go down." And that's how the Republicans and Democrats work. They have to be in bed with each other. Ain't nobody going to tell the other person. That destroys the church's money. So they both play a role, but the Republicans play a role out here like it's my way or the highway. If you don't do as I say do, then you're going to get, the wrath. And of course, the Democrats, "Oh no, we can all work together. Kumbaya. Here's an olive branch." Everybody plays a role. And so having looked at these two roles over the years, the Republicans need a new recast because it's not doing them any good, especially letting someone like Donald Trump, a rank outsider, come over and just take over the whole party completely, with no spine, no backbone, no fight whatsoever.
Yeah. Like you say, good cop, bad cop.
Sure, even good cop, bad cop, worse cop.
Although I don't think that they were even anticipating that he was going to win the presidency. So they weren't expecting it. They weren't prepared for it at all.
Yeah. Trump, that's still a mystery. He lost the popular vote, won the electoral college vote, and that has to be left one of the greatest mysteries of all time. Who did he pay? Who did what in order to pull that off? And everybody after the fact realizes that Hillary would not have messed up the country as bad as he did.
Although that wasn't the first time that happened. That happened recently with was it Gore?
Yeah, Gore.
Gore and Bush?
Yeah, Gore and Bush.
Yeah.
Bush number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whole,
but even Bush
theory.
number 2, look, even Bush number 2 had respect for the system. Okay. See, one of the biggest problems in what they're experiencing now, with the lunacy of Trump was the fact that he wanted to be dictator forever and ever. He never wanted to come out of office. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be president forever." He said it too many times. They're gonna let me be president forever. We don't even got to have an election. I'm the president forever.
Even though he was 140 years old.
It makes no difference. His power, his thirst, and his craving for power is his lunacy.
Maybe he had a robot body he was going to transfer his brain into, and so he could just live forever.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, he can spend the rest of his life in a prison somewhere.
Welcome back, Mike.
I'm back.
Yes, sir.
Back.
There you go.
Yes, sir. We should see you, number 7.
Well,
No,
I can't see myself right now.
Oh, well, you still look good. Mike Love looks younger now than he did when he was young. That's the funny thing about it. He does. How come y'all like talking about Trump so much?
I'm going to take that as a compliment. Thank you so very much.
How come you guys like talking about Trump so much?
Because it's what we are, a news network, and that's news.
Yeah, it's opinion, though. It's a lot of opinion.
Well, it truly is, but we have opinions that are not on the major news networks. That's
Yeah.
why people tune in to hear what we're talking about. You
Mhm.
know, they want to hear what these six guys and you were talking about, and generally we have something that they can agree with. You know, generally, you know, all folks ain't gonna always agree, you know, but we put it right down front. Some folks are scared to, call Trump crazy, lunatic, whatever,
Are
whatever.
they? I don't know any of those.
Yeah, well, some folks don't, like we were talking about Liz Cheney and her ability to be able to put it to the party that, hey, it's either going to be the Constitution or Trump. Choose wisely. What you say, Chris, always, the red pill or the blue pill.
Think she's
Which
gonna
one you
run
gonna take?
for president?
I don't know, and I really don't care. Like we talked about earlier. When you get up a certain age, you really don't care.
How old is she? Is she really old?
I have no idea.
Let me address this about what Buck when you said about talking about Trump. It has to be addressed only because of the fact that as a broadcaster and coming from news, me personally, I have to address it. Me personally, as a professional, I could not just not talk about it. Now I've had my druthers. No, I would not go near it. Fuck him, to be completely transparent with you.
Sure.
But because it's in the news and because people talk about it, that's what I do. When he was in office, and I never felt this way before until he got into office, I would physically get ill. And I mean it sincerely before I talk about Trump, why I had to report it. I did not like the man. If he died today, I'd probably dance a jig. I ain't gonna sit here in front. But because of what's going on currently, we just have to address it. And those 4 years of me reporting on it, I hated every minute bringing his name up. Absolutely.
Wow.
Because nothing but dread and evil. Evil personified. I mean, you just can't sit there and call it a bad day or a bad hair day or wig, whatever you want to call it. No, that's not it. The man is evil incarnate. His track record says so.
Do you think that, and this is honest question, do you think that he thinks that he's evil? Does he think he knows it? Do evil people know that they're evil? Or do they have some sort of justification in their mind for everything they do and the way they think?
You know what? I'll answer it this way. One of the shows we used to have on back in the day was a guy named Art Bell. And Art Bell used to come on overnights. He used to be a part of Premier Radio Networks called Coast to Coast AM. And so he dealt with all this outrageous stuff, vampires and werewolves, stuff like that, and aliens. But he had a continuing guest named Father Malachi Martin, who was assistant to 2 popes and is on record for actual exorcisms. Now, having said that, Father Malachi Martin, and I really believe this, he says there's people out here who are perfectly possessed to the point where they might even know they're possessed. That's how much evil can take over a person and their soul and their content and their mind where they even know they're possessed. That's how perfectly possessed people are. Now, as far out as that may sound, I believe that.
Yeah. Y'all remember the Omen movies?
Yes.
The trilogy. I think it was a trilogy, right?
Yeah, there was some trilogies that still came on after that, right?
Yeah, but in the movie, even Damien knew that he was a child of the devil, and he did everything that he could to protect himself from them priests that was trying to stick them them knives in him, to get Damien off the planet.
Right.
And so in response to what the question is, does he know? I think he knows. And I think that he will use any powers that he has accumulated, whatever deals he made with the devil, to try and preserve his reign on earth as long as he can. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
See, I really believe that power can be purchased.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's where the situation is. Donald Trump has mastered the purchase of power. Now, if you don't want to get caught, then you don't sell it to him. But once you sell it to him, he keeps a receipt. And he uses that receipt to consistently get back at you. And it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Giuliani, whether it's Lindsey Graham, whoever the case may be, that those attorneys that were working for him, what do they say? You lie down with dogs, what do you get?
Come up with fleas.
You come up with fleas. And all of these people are responsible for lying down with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't get away from it. He's not going to let you get away from it. There's nothing wrong with Donald Trump. Donald Trump, what was the name of his book? The deal maker, the master of what was it? Something. He mastered the deal master.
The art of the deal.
The art of the deal.
Right.
The art of the deal is manipulation. If I can manipulate you to do something and you fall for it, the rest is gravy. And that's where the situation is coming into play. All the players that got there, he helped them get there.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, financially. And he's got the receipts to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
So every time they try to make a play, every time they try to escape,
Let me put this up here that our fearless leader had typed. Yes, but that's how they got to where they are. He's evil and he plays on your intelligences and the people who are ignorant to facts. Again, that's why I call him a media pimp.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Yeah, he does what he does for ratings.
He does what he does, but the thing of it is, the producer is telling the truth. Once again, he's saying what I'm saying. If you lie down with if you lie down with dogs, you get fleas.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's too late. You can't back out of it.
Yep. And it's just like a drowning man, you know. I don't know if any of you all ever worked in the pool or lifeguarded anywhere growing up. When they're teaching you how to be a lifeguard, they tell you first thing, do not swim up to a drowning man.
Wow.
Because when you approach that drowning person, they're frantic, they're panicked, and they will drown you trying to save themselves. So if you look at a situation like this manner of evil, you know, everybody else is expendable. He's gonna drown you. He's gonna push you under. He's gonna push you down in the quicksand. He's gonna push you down in the water. You'll be dead, and his ass gonna try and get away. You know and that's just lifeguard skills. You know, life-saving skills. You know, if you see somebody in the beach, you better throw them a flotation device. Say, I'm gonna call 911. Don't go in there unless you qualify now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, plain and simple.
Again, it's a lot to unpack when it comes to this type of situation, but we have to, again, be mindful of the timing and the changing that's happening around us as a nation. Speaking of which, we go into this next one that everybody has a comment about. For decades, the legal battle over abortion focused on the U.S. Supreme Court and its guiding documents, the U.S. Constitution. Now, Roe v. Wade overturned, the legal spotlight has shifted to the states where abortion supporters and opponents must contend with 50 different constitutions that, in many places, guarantee rights more broadly than their federal counterpart. As we've seen, the overturn that happened last Friday in a 5-4 ruling, also on the docket about this medication abortion, will be handled state by state. Also protecting the lives of the lady and the woman who's in labor and going through pregnancy, childbirth in hospitals. That's decided state by state, because that'll be different. Also, companies covering travel expenses for abortion access. Now, be some women may have to go to a different state to have an abortion. Now, the health insurance changes per company, per corporate, to see if they're going to take care of their travel expenses. Some companies already come forward that will do that. Would be Microsoft, Levi's, Yelp,
Google.
Meta, Bumble, J.P. Morgan Chase and Company, and Netflix have been the ones that come forward and say they will
And
take
Google
care of that.
too.
And
Google.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Absolutely. Another thing that's facing all this is the severity of new laws from conservative lawmakers. No exception for rape or incest. Penalties: you will be fined, or prison, or loss of license. So when we see this, I know me personally, when this came down last Friday, I was still going over the fact of what happened the day before last week, about the gun laws that's affecting New York City. You can come out with your gun out of the household. I was just wracking my mind around that, and we get this overturned, the 1973 landmark case. Gentlemen, as far as I'm concerned, as a nation, we're going backwards. We're regressing. We're not progressing, we're regressing. Because after seeing this, everything else is up for grabs. It could be Brown versus education. It could be civil rights voting laws. It could be the LGBTQ plus community. Everybody's up for grabs. Because if you look at this perspective, when you look at this being overturned, and the Constitution and the Supreme Court, the two laws that we've seen been overturned, galvanized by Justice Clarence Thomas, everything else is in line to be overturned. So that bothers me the most, because people have fought well and hard just to get these things into place for the future of our nation. But since we have this more conservative leaning in the Supreme Court, they're rolling the time back. Let me go to Seven, because I know Seven has a connection with this from his perspective. We talked about this early in the conversation. Seven, your thoughts, please.
Over the last couple of days, I've had, I'm just going to call it what it is, white people in the car with me. And they were talking about Roe versus Wade and the decisions that came down to overturn it. And both conceded that it's not as, they didn't want to call it a power play, but maybe a play of fear, because the disappearance or the destruction of the white race is being threatened at its highest level. And these are both white people that made these statements and said that their race is currently living in fear of that. They came and said, and neither one of these people, this was 2 different days, the conversations came up and they both kind of ended at the same place, right? So both were talking about numbers, and there were more white women that were getting these abortions than there were any other race. And it wasn't based always on the fact of poverty. I don't know who the baby daddy is. They weren't dealing with those issues. They were dealing with the issues of, I don't want a child right now. Not thinking that every time a white child is not born, that's one less member of representation.
Mm.
They are afraid. They are in panic. And so to overturn it, to get the states, which they know a lot of the states were going to turn around. How many ratified? Was it like 13?
Well, the 13 trigger states?
Yes.
Yes, 13.
It was 13.
Mm-hmm.
So they're keeping their fingers crossed that these states will do the heavy lift. That the states will say, hell no. And it stops right there. And I had to pause and think about it for a minute, because when the one lady made the comment in reference to, this ain't about Racism, it's about where we're at as far as our race. When they look at television, you can look at a series of TV commercials, and 80% of the people in commercials are black or of color.
Mhm.
A lot of Asians out there in TV commercials now. A lot of Asians with lead roles in these television programs. Criminal Minds,
Mhm.
Law and Order, and the list goes on.
Yes.
So right now, we ain't talking about YouTube, we're not talking about Netflix, we're not talking about the sub channels. They want to be seen at the level of I Love Lucy, Leave It to Beaver,
Mhm.
The Brady Bunch, Happy Days.
All right.
That's what is being eliminated from media, and they're scared to death.
I can see that. I mean, for example, I'm a fan of the old show that came back in the day on NBC, Quantum Leap. So Quantum
Oh, I used
Leap,
to love Quantum Leap.
fantastic, right? It's being rebooted, and the person going to play Sam Bakula's role is an Asian person. So we're right. So you look at that lens, look all over the television, like you just said. It's not representation of how they used to be when they was watching network television. You said before, the shows of I Love Lucy and Leave It to Beaver, those days are gone. And when they do reboot, for example, Netflix had a reboot of the show One Day at a Time. It's come on CBS. They redid it with a whole Mexican family, Latinx family. So
See?
when they do these reboots, they show representation of more than just Caucasians. They go across the board. You're definitely right about that. Absolutely.
And that's my comment. And like I said, I didn't make this up. I didn't even ask for a poll. It was basically just people having a conversation in reference to Roe versus Wade. And both were honest enough to say, hey, Mr. I don't know you, but I can tell you what's coming from our side of the fence. We don't see enough of us anymore, and we're scared.
That's deep. That's honest.
Yeah, it was honest.
Yes, Buck.
Did they say that they were scared, or they were saying just the white race in general is scared? Or was it were they saying them personally, that they were personally scared?
No, they weren't. They were speaking in general.
Okay.
No, they
That's what
weren't
I
speaking for
thought.
themselves. They were speaking in general. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were enjoying the conversation because it was that day that led. Well, what was it? 2 days ago that led to the new Supreme Court justice being sworn in.
Mhm.
And so the conversation came up two different ways. One was just about the news on CNN, and some kind of way we rolled into Roe versus Wade. And the other one was, wow, all those things that they voted on before they got here, what was going on? And then Roe versus Wade ended up coming up, and they're going, wow, they're doing a lot, aren't they?
Yeah. So basically, they
Incredible.
were speaking for all the other white people, but not them.
In general, so to speak.
See, now
general.
that concerns me a little bit because it, to me, it sounds like they were kind of speaking in, what's the word? Almost speculation. Like white
Yeah.
people don't really talk about this sort of thing. This is what I'm getting at. Most of the white people I know don't sit around and talk about this sort of white stuff. They don't have a sense of community like we do. They're the majority, so they don't really have to think in terms of our whiteness being challenged, or you know what I mean. They don't have to because they've been the majority forever. So I'm thinking that they may have been just having general conversation and explaining to you the way they think, not necessarily for real, but the way they think that white people actually feel, whether or not it's true.
Right.
And I think there's a good chance that it may not be true because I don't think that they're actually having these conversations. Totally guessing, but from the white people that I know,
I believe they're having the conversations because it's intense. You know, I don't watch a lot of commercial television, so to speak, you know, the ABC, NBC, CBS. But I can tell you on the other ones, the AMC pluses and all this stuff, when they break for commercials, you don't see a lot of white folks like you used to. And now they're mixed in. You see a lot of mixed families. There's always that mixed, you know, the wife looks white and he's black. One of them is for the sex. God, I can't think of the name of it. And the guy, he's black, and the wife is trying to convince him to go into the bedroom, and she's white. You got that one. Then you got another one where they're sitting at the table, and the wife is preparing the food, and she's giving the kids are all that kind of mulatto look. It's throwing them off.
But the interesting thing though, Mike, you come from advertising, so you know that more than likely, it's TV. Everything on TV is fake, but these advertisers, this is again total guess here, but my guess is that these advertisers are finally realizing that black people spend all their money, white people save it, so they're just trying to make more money. It's just business to them. And so it doesn't necessarily reflect the ethnic makeup of the country. It's just they're trying to make more money.
Well, they're trying to do that, but I think one of the things where I won't say made a mistake, but it's one of those situations where all of a sudden they're dancing. You know, it's noticeable. You know what I'm saying? They all dance. They're all having fun. They're not, you know, it's like they're trying to outdo us in this whole thing about a hipness with family. The kids are talking back, you know, the women are looking fly, you know, they got the eyelashes, they got the hair, they got the makeup. I mean, everything you see in these commercials representing them appears to be over the top because we're used to seeing Jane, a blonde, not much makeup, a little lipstick. Now they're doing the whole removing the makeup and all the things that they're doing to try to be a part of the system. It's almost like they lost control of the representation. The representation now is being hip.
Maybe social media has a lot to do with that, and
it does have a lot to do with it.
Yeah, social influencers, and a lot of those are not black. A lot of those are these white girls doing these social media channels about beauty and makeup and fashion, and you know what I mean? There's a lot of them, and a lot of them are big.
Let me bring that home for you because you just hit the nail on the head. When was the last time you was in Walmart?
Last week.
Monday. How many white women did you see with fake eyelashes
on? Oh, I go to a black Walmart. I don't see any.
I don't know where a black Walmart is.
In the black neighborhood.
Every Walmart that I've been in, for some reason, it seems like that's a place you can go and be you as a person. Red, black, yellow, green. And I'm seeing, okay, why is everybody wearing house shoes outdoors? I mean, the whole
really?
Everybody. I mean, the whole thing. It's getting crazy.
It is.
It's getting crazy. White folks wear slides. Black people wear slides. Asians wear slides. Everybody's wearing slides. All the women got on tights. They don't really care what they look like.
I like that though.
I mean, I like it. Some of them is attractive, but it's just really weird. Hello, Pastor.
Hey, good evening, y'all. I had the whoops, had to change the thing. Ta-da! Hey,
Professor.
How's everybody doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Man,
We got
bless.
echo.
I got an echo.
Yeah, you got an echo.
Oh wait,
start
okay,
you
hold
again.
on. I got it. I know what to do. Oops.
We didn't get it.
Yeah, I know what to do.
Whoop that L.
Yeah, so let me handle this right quick and click that off like that, and I should be able to handle it. It should be much better now.
Maybe,
Is it?
maybe
Yeah.
not.
I don't
Okay.
hear any feedback.
Yeah, it's good. It's gone.
Okay, good. All right. So it was just a switch, a flick of a switch I had to do. I was testing doing something else. You know how it is, man. You know when a brother come in, she got to do what got to do, you know. So check it out, man. So when I did that, I went on and with, and then I had to do something, and then I had to get buck wild on it. And then when I got it and I got it better, so I just took care of it. How you doing?
You flicked the
Well,
Bic.
now we were conversing on the Supreme Court thing. Can I jump in here right quick? You know,
You're already doing it.
yeah, thank you, sir. I want to say that, you know, the Supreme Court, I did a whole take on it on From the Desk of Dr.Ron last week. And, you know, the biggest disappointment about this whole decision is the fact that they are, excuse me, they are making a decision on a constitution that was written in the 19th century. In the 19th century, when they were making decisions and writing this constitution, Black people were property. Women didn't have any rights or privileges or anything. And as they began to unfold layers of rights, privileges, and benefits for races of people and women, then they looked at it and said, okay, we'll allow this to happen, we'll allow that to happen, but it was not originally considered when the forefathers put this on paper. Okay. So if you fast forward to 2022, there has been a lot of things that have happened over time that would have to be taken into consideration what the lay of the land is. Even though women are considered property still to some demographics of people, but women have made great accomplishments. They're in public office now. They can vote. They can smoke cigarettes. They can have conversation without having permission. Okay. Blacks still are struggling to establish the rights, privileges, and benefits that have been established for them over time. But when you look at the direction that this Supreme Court is going in, they are trying to take away, based on the Constitution written in the 19th century, as much as they can away from society by law, based on the law of the Constitution. Okay. So when I did my piece this past Saturday, I didn't deal with the decisions that they made per se of, you know, abortion, justifying it, right, wrong, because everybody's got different opinions on whether they should or shouldn't. But I pointed to the fact that we have in the Supreme Court at this particular time a group of people that are considered to be unjust judges. Okay. Now, many people that understand what I'm talking about, an unjust judge, that is a person that makes decisions and renders a decision based on his own personal feelings without seeking the counsel of God first. So if you don't seek God in all things and you make decisions that's going to affect large demographics of people, then now you just became that person that I just identified as an unjust judge. And if you understand how an unjust judge works, he makes decisions based on political party. Well, was appointed by a Republican, and I feel like, you know, I got a whole party lines. Okay. And that's what they're doing. They're not seeking out justice for what's right for the country or the people, they're supporting their party line and the people that have put them in position. And it's not fair, or is it righteous, the things that they're doing? But that is the issue that is before us. And they're going to continue to make decisions based on party lines because they're not looking at who's affected or not affected by what they're saying, whether it's right or whether it's current day. They're looking at this like, okay, I got a principle that I can stand on. In 19th century, blacks were not black, they were property. Women were not able to vote or do anything, they were property. So I can make decisions based on that rationale. And that's exactly what they did.
Mm.
And they're going to continue to make decisions based on that party line justification. So the one thing that I'm going to throw this in as a sidebar, that people, the general population, they don't have to go along with anything that the Supreme Court has just decided that they feel is right, wrong, or indifferent. People have a choice, just like they can cross state lines to do what they feel is best for them and their family, or they don't have to go along with it and they can stay in the condition that they put themselves in and suffer the consequences, if there is any consequences that go along with being pregnant and having an unwanted child. So the choice still lies with the individual on what they will do or not do. You don't have to go along with the Supreme Court or at all, whether you agree with it or not agree with it. You just need to know that our Supreme Court and the justices that sit there are men that are not seeking the wisdom of God in anything that they are doing. And that's why I wanted to go with it.
Did you see appointments for vasectomies are up?
Nope, I did not.
Saw that on the news today.
Yeah, I did not
That's
see that.
incredible.
Yeah.
Like, oh, really?
Yeah. Nah, and once again, people have an individual choice. Everybody on this panel, some might decide, and I'm past the age of making babies, so I ain't even trying,
But you still could if you wanted to.
But I'm not trying, I'm not trying, so I don't think that decision would ever come into play for me or anybody that I'm sleeping with, or bodies that I'm sleeping with.
Yeah, go ahead and give yourself credit that you've been with more than
But it's not, I'm going to take caution. I'm going to have plenty of what they call that, the day after pill in my medicine cabinet. Here, take that pill on the way out the door, but I'm not putting myself in that situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to take every precaution necessary.
That's another thing that's up, the morning after pills.
Yeah, and they were talking about they're gonna run out real soon because they got mail order pharmacies trying to fill orders now, and they feel like that inventory is going to be out. And this whole decision has gotten into HIPAA laws and everything else. So if in Illinois it's safe to come over here, but in Indiana it's not, who's gonna tell? If you came over here from Gary, Indiana, to get your bid taken care of, and you might have been coming over here for a liposuction, and they don't offer that in Gary.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So who's going to tell? That's a personal decision and a medical decision made between that person and their doctor. And the government has overstepped their bounds, thinking that they can come up with rules, regulations to penalize, prosecute, take doctors' license away for doing what their hypocritical oath has said that they must do. Anybody that needs medical help,
hypocritical,
and that's what it's called.
Hippocratic oath.
Yeah, that too.
It just sounded funny when you said it. I was like, hypocritical.
But wait a minute. Are you saying? Did you say the government or government? I need to know which one it is.
Which one rings a bell in your heart?
The government or government?
Well, you know, I'm from the South Side of Chicago, so it's, you know, it's the latter.
No. Amen.
Yeah, I don't teach at the university, so I can use them kind of vernaculars.
I mean, but okay, so who's sending some money to the ACLU? Who's sending some money to the ACLU? So the case can continually be fought against. Who's sending some money? Anybody sending $25, $10, or whatever to send some money to the ACLU so they can, you know, set up and continue this fight. Because just like the cats that was laying in the trenches to get this overturned. So turnabout is fair play. We got to get in the trenches and do what they did, and we just got to wait our turn now. So it's, you know, it's always gonna be those back and forth moves, you know, because it depends on how relentless you're gonna be. If you're gonna lay down and die cause you know, this thing was overturned and stuff, then, you know, you just go on and pull up the white flag. But as you can see, those folks never gave up the white flag on it. You know, they waited and then they manipulated, they moved the pieces around, and then when the right people, as you just so eloquently stated, when they, you know, along the party lines, they put folk in there. You know, and then when it came to other times when other presidents were, you know, involved, they blocked. They did everything they could to keep it so that they can get their people in there. So, you know, it's like when stuff happens, you know, we can't cry. We can't say, and you know, it's like I said last week with the Grace Jones thing, man. Okay, what about it? So when are we going to come up with a solution? How much money are you dropping to the ACLU to keep this fight going? You know, if it's that important, okay? If it's really that important, okay? These abortion rights, okay? Because, you know, old Brer Rabbit gonna find a way to get where he going. You know, he gonna find a way. So, you know, we can sit here and fuss, and we know that the Supreme Court is this, and we know that the Supreme Court is that. But, you know, it's supposed to be checks and balances, you know, in this government. You know, that's why they got the three branches, right? Legislative, the judiciary, and what's the president? What is his branch called?
Executive.
Yeah, the executive. Okay, so that's why you got these things. So how are we going to move the playing pieces so we can, you know, do more power, and what are we willing to do, you know, sacrifice, you know, to get in the trenches? How much money you gonna send to the ACLU? They fighting the battle because, you know, they did it in the courts. These people, you know, they did it in the courts. And so in order for us to change it, we're going to have to do it in the courts. And it's going to cost a lot of money.
Yep.
It's going to cost a lot of money. We've seen the game unfold right in front of our eyes. And so now that the game is over, now we can't do that. We can't do that. We got to get up. When you get down, man, I was fighting when I was young, right? And when mama did let me fight, you know, if I got knocked down, I didn't, my mama get, boy, and put me right back in there. My brothers put me right back up in there. So what are we going to do? You know, what are we going to do? Are we going to get back in there? Are we going to get back in the fight? Or are we just gonna cry and just go, oh, the Republicans, oh man, they dirty, man. They put all the Republicans in there. Look at what this president did. Look at what that president did. Hey, we need to be right now figuring out which is gonna be the next one of cats is close to mortality.
Yeah.
And then we need to be figuring out who we gonna groom to put that person in there. That's what they did.
Yeah.
That's that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, like what you just said, Reggie, reminded me of a line in a movie, The Untouchables. What are you prepared to do?
That's right. What are you prepared to do? That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. That's right. So that's the question, you know. So oh man, Roby. Well, I mean, are you sending any money to the ACLU?
yep.
Are you
Got
sending $5? Are you sending $2? Are you sending people to help the legal battle with this? Because when a person wants to get rid of a baby, they're going to get rid of that baby.
Yep. No matter what the Supreme Court said.
No matter what, right? Because it's been going on a long time.
Yep.
It's been going on a long time. Just cause I mean, and see, that's kind of like thing. It reminds me of the magician, right? They say, well, the trick is over here. I'm trying to figure out what's getting ready to come around the corner. See, because you talking about these cats up in there. So now they sliding back this thing with these state rights. Okay. So how close is that to, more Jim Crow laws coming back in? What about the voting rights? And when is the Voting Rights Act gonna become a law? So what about these things? What about these other things? So we steady worrying about somebody, we worrying about sex sales. I mean, all you gotta do is put sex in any kind of thing in any kind of way you want. Next thing, we done all tripped out over abortion rights with sex and all that old kind of stuff. But in the meantime, our right to go to the ballot, man, there's more stuff coming down the pipe that these cats is trying to do. And so they playing the old rope-a-dope. Got us hung up on this over here, when the trick is over here.
Yep. Keep your eyes open.
Over and over and over and over again. I mean, either we got to be the stupidest people in captivity because we allow the same games to be run on us. Americans are the only people on this planet that vote against their own self-interest. Americans.
Yeah.
We've seen that at least the last 32 years.
Why do they do that besides stupidity?
Look, man, I don't know. It could be they could be putting in a drug in the water supplies or something. You know what? Who we need right now is Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory will give a twist on it. He'll put a twist on it, but like we need, where? And then at this time, right, have all the elders are silent. And then, and I guess, the people in power, I guess they figured they didn't need to have no elder or black spokesperson come out and say anything right now, right? Any other time, right? They pick up the phone, call Cornell, Eddie Glaude. You know how it go. They go down the list, the characters, paid propagandists, or paid people to come up with their points, on what's going on with. I hate to be so what is it? Is it so not cold? Well, so black and white with this. I hate to be that, but what it is what it is. And then, Aaron Neville said, tell it like it is. The great classic songs. There's a lot of things we know, but then again, we don't see it when it happens to us. I don't understand how we can see stuff coming and then not see it. I just don't understand that. This is not the first time, but it's like It's like the old Ali rope though, man. We get them repcons, they get on the rope, right? And dems be swinging, and then they get tired. And then just when you think the fight is over, a big punch come out, bam, and then knock it out.
That's true.
And this, so I'm just saying, what are we gonna like? Who's supporting the ACLU? Who's going to support one of these organizations that's going to, continue to fight against that? Because them cats, when the abortion came up, when the abortion was legal, Roe v. Wade, they never stopped. Am I right or wrong?
No, you gotta
Right.
keep fighting.
Nobody ever
Absolutely.
stopped. Nobody ever stopped. So are we supposed to stop now that the Supreme Court overturned it?
And they're not gonna. Yeah.
Real quick, Lee types here about a whole nother story. I caught this too. I think we all did. Emmett Till's family seeks arrest at the 1955 warrant found in the courthouse basement. And we all know the story of Emmett Till, of course, that spearheaded the civil rights movement. But what angers me the most about that, I'm going to get this last time before we get out of here, but with this, since Lee brought it up, the woman lied from day one that caused that boy to be executed and murdered for no reason whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Had she not been afraid of getting the ass whipping from her white brethren at the time and lying and caused him to not only be murdered, taking away a child from their mother, going back to Mamie Till. We've read about it. We've seen the pictures. We've seen the movie and everything else. For something as simple as keeping your mouth shut and not saying anything, that young man could have grown into whatever he wanted to become. But because of racism and cowardice and punk-ass moves like that, and then the heifer had the nerve to confess on her deathbed that she lied.
Mm-hmm. She had said she lied even before she died.
And then, well, hold on a second. What about the sheriff who said, I didn't want to bother her because she had a family?
Yeah, that's a free pass. Just a couple of footnotes again on the thing with abortion, and then we'll move into the last topic. CNN did a poll back on May 3rd to May 5th. Should the Supreme Court overturn Roe v. Wade? 66% said no, and 34% said yes. Also, on a side note, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security said in a memo that warns likely increase of violent extremists targeting government officials, judges, and abortion clinics. So again, we're going to see on the horizon, because all these things are happening at one time. It's a powder keg that we're living in right now. It's exploding in different pockets, but the main explosions will happen down the road when, again, like going back to what the professor said, we said earlier in the conversation, you look at this, everything else is up for grabs. Going back to the right to vote and Brown versus education and everybody else, everybody's on notice. So we have to be aware of that. Here's a topic I want to throw out to the panel and everybody else in the comment section. Disgraced R&B singer R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in prison Wednesday following his conviction last year on federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges stemming from his efforts over the years to use his fame to ensnare victims he sexually abused. Prosecutors had asked the judge to sentence Kelly, who is currently 55 years old, to more than 25 years behind bars, while his defense attorneys were asking for 10 years or fewer, saying the prosecutor's request was tantamount to a life sentence. And so, and by the way, the judge happened to be female. Her name is Judge Ann Donnelly. Usually most court judges would get the information about how many years the person should do, but rarely do you see a person, not only that, I don't take the 25, I'll take the 10 years or less, but I'm doing 30. I'm sorry, he's doing 30. So, just the fact that you see this, which is very, very rare, but again, we see this happening when it comes to certain people in the media. Certain people have been dodging these things for years. And I want to get everybody's take on R. Kelly, because I went to high school with R. Kelly. We used to play basketball together. So he wasn't doing that stuff then, but from the standpoint of coddling to his talent. Because everybody, their mom will say, or, hey, man, you ever see him in class? No. Nobody went to class with him because he didn't go to class. He was in the music room a lot, but he was never in class. Everybody I knew during that time, hey, man, do you see Robert? I saw him on the basketball court, or I saw him in the music room, but I never saw him in class. So he never went to class. And so to call that talent and not try to cultivate it, and don't be wrong, probably one of the most talented people I ever got a chance to see and know firsthand when he was even in his teens. But to fast forward to use that to, I don't know, I just think it's sick, all the things he's done to these teenage girls and everything else. It was interesting. It's the classic falling from grace. I was listening to a national radio show, Big Tigger. So Big Tigger was doing an interview with Ron Isley. And he asked Ron Isley, out of all the people you work with in the industry, who are the people you can see or you will see as genius level? He named two people, Stevie Wonder and R. Kelly. That's hell of a good company.
I can see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be in.
Yeah.
Exactly. And to see all that come down as it was sentencing just this past Wednesday, it's more than disgraceful. Let me yield out to the professor and everybody else, because I know everybody has done music on this platform. So, Professor, what's your take on the whole thing?
Now, don't give me. I'm gonna wait till everybody else come in, and then
I thought I'd go with you first for a change. You want to sit back and be
all
cool
right.
again?
Well, listen. I feel sorry for the brother. I feel sorry for the brother. A victim. He a victim of his own talent. I think because me, I'm a conspiracist.
Yes.
I'm into conspiracy. They knew that the guy had talent, and they set him up for that fall. Just so they can get his publishing and to take all his money and to do all that stuff, because it had to be known what this cat was doing. And for people around him to let it continue to be done, or to carry on the way he was carrying on. He had some people that really didn't care about him. It was something, so I'm just hurt. I'm hurt that it's just amazing. So many brothers always get up high there. They always get high, but don't seem like none of the brothers can come out, with something. A lot of our people in that industry have always gotten caught up on some BS or something, some kind of way. But I just want to pray for the brother. Pray for the people that were part of that was part of that whole drama and stuff, and I want to pray for peace for them, and that they get some understanding, because it's just messed up, man. Next thing you know, what kind of example is that going to leave for our kids and stuff? And also you got to be a genius, but then you're a sex maniac at the same time.
Right.
Come on, man. What kind of stuff is where's the balance with all this kind of stuff? And then you're going to find people that's going to be talking about, yeah, because he was so talented. He had a right to do all this, that, and other. I don't want to hear none of that stuff. I just want to pray for that brother, pray for his family, pray on his soul, and just ask that, that all the people that were victims and sitting around that, I hope everybody get healed. I think that's me on that.
Okay. Well, let me say this before everybody jumps in. This is from our fearless leader, Lee. Says, bye, Kelly. That shit you did, you need to be locked up for the rest of your life. And anybody else that does that dumb shit, I'm tired of it. Goodbye. Well, that's why he was our fearless leader, because he don't hold back shit. That we definitely appreciate that. So thank you, Lee, for your comments. Go back to the panel.
That's that 70 there. We were talking about 65, 70, 55. Right. When you get to 55, that's that 70. That's real right there. I think that R. Kelly, has made a lot of mistakes throughout the course of his career. And he's made some contributions, to the music industry that cannot be denied. He's left his mark. He took his fame and fortune and used it to take advantage of people. And that in doing so, they allowed him a lot of grace and mercy early on when they confronted him about it. But he never stopped. He kept on doing what he was doing, and he ran out of grace and he ran out of mercy. And, when the federal government caught wind of everything that he was involved in, this is just the first sentence of many to come down, because he still has to answer charges in a federal court here in Chicago, and he still has to answer charges in Minnesota. So he's got state charges in Minnesota that he's got to deal with, but federal charges in Chicago. So at 55 years old, unless his lawyers find some technical mishap in the proceedings, he gonna do 2/3 of that. He through, and at 55, man, and if they ever put him in population, it's not gonna be a good thing for him, because people that have done things to children in jail, whether it be state or federal, they don't roll out the red carpet for them, and I'm talking about the inmates, the people that live there, and it's only so much protection that the system is even willing to offer to protect him, because they just gonna treat him like, oh, well, you're gonna be here, so you might as well get used to whatever they're getting ready to do to you, and that's the way it's gonna go down. I think that I'm sure he's had a whole lot of time and will have a whole lot of time to look back over the mistakes that he have made in his life, and hopefully he'll find Jesus. That's about all I can say. Good luck with that.
Okay, anybody else? Don't talk all at once, man.
Oh,
You know,
I was
one
waiting
of the
for my
crazy-
turn.
I was like, now
Go
they come
ahead.
in. Okay.
Yeah, come on. I was waiting on Buck.
Oh,
And Buck was
were
waiting
you?
on you.
Yeah.
All right, Buck, go ahead, Doc.
I didn't really have an opinion. I mean,
What?
other than the fact that I know that I liked R. Kelly's music, I thought he was very talented, and more talented as a producer than he even was as a singer and a writer. Just great. But then I did a video for Drea Kelly, his ex-wife. She had some stories, and she was more than willing to talk about her experiences with this man. Again, it's none of my business, but you can't unhear it. After that, I was like, I can't really have any sympathy for him at this point. But I still respect him as an artist. And whatever happens to him. And, it still ain't none of my business. That's all.
Okay.
One of the things we have to look at that God does is he'll clearly use us as an example for good, bad, or indifferent. And I believe in this particular situation, God clearly used him as an example of what not to do, especially after you've been graced.
Okay.
We all on this panel can look to God's grace and mercy on things that have happened. We've gone in the wrong direction, doing things, and been blessed and came back on top of the world. But you have to give something back to let God know that he has your full attention. And I believe in this entire situation, the only way that God was going to get R. Kelly's full attention was to fully expose him. Now, at what? Say that again.
I say I could see that.
Yeah. At some point, we all deal with our God, in our own time and place. Some of us are faithful, some of us pray, some of us don't care. You know, every human being has a different aspect. God created us equal, but that doesn't mean in return we show the respect for what we've been created to do, what our purpose in life is, to do God's will. If you know what God's will is. See, that's the big part that we don't know about R. Kelly. We don't know anything about what he believes in spiritually.
True.
He can sing songs, he's led choirs, he's done all of this stuff, but it's the music business. How much of the music business did R. Kelly give instead of it with his life that he didn't give to God? God is constantly blessing you. You're making hit after hit. You know, you got everything, you got money, you got favor, you got everything that's here for you to be successful.
Man,
but you turn your back on God.
Man, he was, you know, he was like trained by, I think, a relative of Thomas A. Dorsey, Lena McLean. You know, so he had God with him, you know, from Jump Street, you know. But you know, a lot of times it's these three letters, EGO, that means edging God out. Once that happens and them imps and demons get around you, this dude had not a chance. This dude didn't have a chance because them imps and demons jumped on him because this cat was believing in stuff that he knew he never should have believed. But them imps and demons, man, when you talking about being in that spiritual realm, Mike, when you talk about being there right there, you get blinded, man. You get blinded. Because you know, Mike, for scripture say the devil, he himself presented Jesus worlds he already had.
Right.
So you understand, so he was going to tear R. Kelly apart. It was some of the people that was around him that should have been there to protect him, to help him. But everybody was in on this dude for the money from Jump Street. He was a cash cow. This dude had capital TALENT, and nobody cared about his soul. Nobody, no one to nurture him around at no time. So this boy, they was out to break him, to get his publishing, get everything that he had. Cause that boy is as what Gump said, his music talent is gazillions.
A quick question. I know there was a campaign early on when they first started taking him down that was trying to get people to stop playing his music. Would anybody here stop playing his music?
Stop or start?
Stop.
Yeah, my
You're
station
saying, did we do it or would we do it?
Yeah, would you stop playing his music?
I don't know of a station that still does.
I was never a fan of him anyway. The one song that I did like behind him, I stopped playing. You know, the one song that I did like, and it was on the 12 play. And then after all this stuff, you know, Your Body Calling Me. After that, I wouldn't play that song. That's the only song I ever liked by him. That's my personal opinion. But he was great. And, you know, if I was still DJing and stuff, you know, that other first song he made, one of them other slow songs that he made at the time Keith Sweat made his Writing the Wrong Way to Love, when they was all at the same, I would play that. But when he made Your Body Calling Me, I wasn't playing that no more. You know, and that was the only one I liked.
Right.
That was because, you know, that had that stepping beat, man.
Yes,
but
sure did.
it got that stepping beat. I was like, oh no, man, I ain't playing. I couldn't play it no more. But then, like, that same bass line on that particular song, is made. It is now. I'll play that same bass song because it's another song that was made by DeAndre Patterson with Smokey Norfield singing called "If Everybody Loved Jesus." And guess what the bass line is? Oh, that R. Kelly song, "Your Body's Calling Me." Now I'll play that, you know. But I stopped. That's for me. I wasn't. Because I'm a groups cat. I mean, I'm a groups cat. So one singer wasn't gonna never knock me out. If you wasn't Smokey singing with the Miracles or Eddie singing with the Temptations, I would, man. Look, hit both hands. I ain't. I mean, I was partial with Luther and all. I'm not crazy about no individual singer. I like the groups and stuff. I came up under the harmony thing with my brothers and them. So, but that was my personal opinion, not taken away from any of this man's genius, because it is a fact that man he was an incredible person in that studio. And so, and he got played. Nobody cared about this dude. Nobody cared.
Himself.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I go along with that. And of course, they'll have the Chicago courts, Illinois courts are coming up in August. So it doesn't end here. It continues on. Also, before we get out of here, quick shout out to Ketanji Brown Jackson was sworn in today, 116th Justice of the Supreme Court, making history as the first black woman to serve on the highest court of the nation. Congratulations to the sister. Absolutely. Ketanji, that too. No, seriously. I know. See, Buck like to fuck with people, so he's fucking with me. So fuck you on that. Second of all, I've heard two versions on networks saying two versions of her name.
Which was Ketanji?
CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News.
What was Ketanji? What was the other one?
It was CNN and MSNBC.
No, I'm saying what were the Ketanji and what was the other one?
Ketanji or Ketanji.
Okay.
So you try to work with people, man. It's amazing. Buck, you need your own goddamn show. I'm sorry, you don't need to. Really, because you like to fuck with people too much, man. Really, it's a damnness of shame, boy. But Mike, why did you hire him? Help me out with it. What did you see in him back in New York when you was working there? Why did you hire this man?
I was young and fresh.
I think it has something to do with that bamboo rum and the Jack Daniels and the all of the above. He was able to impress number 7.
That's right.
Let me say this: everybody has a talent about them that's impressive, and I found it. I used it, and what he does with it is his own business.
Amen.
Amen. A woman. All right. On that note. You
Good
have
night.
Been connected to you jumped the gun.
Oh,
let me get the intros, then we can come out of here. All right, you have been connected to SNN Street News Now. 6 Guys and You every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. on the West Coast. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, SNN Street News Now. Also catch us on Facebook Live, Twitter, and Twitch. For our fearless leader, Lee Michaels, for Dr. Ron Ford, for Buck Wheezy, for 7, for Professor Reggie Miles. I'm Chris Bass. Continue to be peaceful. Now, Professor, give us the the good night.
Good night.
Well, good.